Hey guys, what's going on? My name's Lockie, and today I am back with my F1 Chinese review. I did say to be up on Monday, and it is. First of all, I do want to say I'm a little bit. I was driving this very passively, but I do get a little bit impatient, and I do try some risky moves. And as you can see, I also got spun out in the first corner. Tried a risky move and got spun out. So. Let's talk the race. I'll start from qualifying, but I just want to say, definitely this year is proving to be some of the best races I've seen in a very long time, or best races I've ever seen. Nothing for me will top the 2012 Grand Prix. Best Brazilian Grand Prix. Best Grand Prix you could have ever imagined. For a final Grand Prix and Championship. But this is kind of coming down to be Bahrain was awesome the first half, second half kind of boring. This race kind of the same, but the second half was not as boring as the Bahrain Grand Prix, but still phenomenal. So I will start reading off my notes here from qualifying all the way down to the race, the end of the race, and where we go from there. So first things first, actually I will mention some practice things. Sorry, I forgot about that. Haas had fly-by-wire problems in practice. Again. And what I mean by again is in the pre-season practice, they were having problems with it. It was one of their biggest problems, and they seemed to have it. And they also had problems, turns out, in the race, but we'll get to that. So that caused a red flag in Q1 because I think it locked the brakes on, but the throttle or something happened and the brakes caught fire and it caused some serious damage to the car, and that's why it was a red flag. So a bit of a, serious problem, and a fly-by-wire problem is not something you want lightly because it can just jam on, like your throttle, or it can jam on your brakes, and in mid-corner you can spin and hit a barrier, so it's very serious problem to have one. But that's kind of how it goes, I guess. The other thing I was going to say is, so FP1 and FP2, so free practice 1-2, had it was dry and was very good. Come to Saturday or Friday, depending on where you live, qualifying is happening. Man, FP3, which is the free practice session for qualifying, holy shit, apparently the heavens opened up. Red Bull tweeted a picture, and basically it showed that, it looked like it was nighttime, but it was the middle of the day, They hadn't even gone in and checked. It was pouring down with rain. Absolutely pouring. So barely anyone did any run. Everyone kind of did installation laps, see if they're having problems, and make sure they're okay. Some people didn't do that, and I will say Mercedes did not, and came back to bit them in the ass, it turns out. And you can say what you want, but I feel because they didn't do that, that is why they didn't notice Hamilton had an engine problem, because I think he only did like 1 or 2 laps, if he did any. So Hamilton had an engine problem, which didn't even allow him to qualify. He had a 5-place grid penalty anyway, but he couldn't even qualify, so starting back a pack, and Pascal Wehrlein crashed in Q1. It's some of the best qualifying, by the way. Thank God we're back to the old system, and this proves why it's definitely better. Pascal Wehrlein here. Track was wet when we went out to qualifying, right? It wasn't raining; it was wet. I'll start from here. So everyone went out to their first few laps, and Pascal Wehrlein did. And most of the track was dry, but there's a few bumps and that had little ravines of water that, would obviously be a serious problem to slick tyres. So going down the main straight, I think just finished this lap or just starting a lap, and he hit this bump with his DRS open and flicked him, and he tried to catch it, but because his DRS was open, could not, and hit the wall. That caused a red flag in Q1 straight away. And that was a serious problem. I think it stopped it for about 20 minutes, which is pretty crazy. And then, they tried fixing Hamilton's problem. Could not do that, unfortunately. Then we go into, I don't think this was Q1, it might have been Q2, but there was a marshal, didn't cause any flags, but there's a marshal on with a car at pit entry. And this, at China, you might be, that's not a big deal, but at China, the fucking pit entry, you go, if it's common for people to hit the wall. Malamata used to hit it almost every time he visited, but it's very dangerous pit entry. It's one of the worst there is, and they're just chilling. And apparently they were the same in practice. They were just sitting there, not even paying attention. It's like, if a car's coming at them, it's gonna hit them, and they're not gonna know. And I've found they did the last year with Verstappen's car and everything. They're not the best, officials to watch the track, or best marshals, I should say. I can't speak today, it turns out. They're not the best to watch the track. They've kind of always been not in a hurry, doing things wrong, doing it. Somehow they never get in trouble. I'm sure they do, but that's kind of whatever. So that was very crazy, and that kind of wrapped up Q1. As I said, I don't know if the marshals being on the track was in Q1 or Q2, but it was there. Coming into Q2, pretty awesome qualifying session. Everyone's having an amazing crack at it. I think about 1:20 left. Red flag. Nico Hülkenberg's wheel fell off and caused a red flag. He couldn't go anywhere, and that was basically it. And I think he got a 3-place grid penalty. Not his weekend, it turns out, as well. So that kind of led to whatever, So then we get into Q3, and holy shit, this is one of the best Q3s ever. Hamilton's out, so you got all this. So it's basically Rosberg, Vettel, and Raikkonen. Now Rosberg in Q2, I should mention, actually qualified on softs, not the super softs. Everyone else did that, and basically, so he started in the race, he had to start on the softs, whereas everyone else had to start on the super softs. Super softs were not the best tyre for the weekend, by far. It only lasted like 5, 6, 7 laps, and you have to pit. So it was not the one you wanted to be on. So everyone did that, and they went in, and man, I could just tell you, I saw this coming from a mile away. So everyone was doing these laps, and I noticed that Ricciardo was being a little quicker than everyone else, and I was like, that's interesting. He had a really good first lap in Q3, and I was like, oh, okay. He's got some good pace. Raikkonen's got some good pace. Raikkonen was second, Rosberg first. Rosberg went out and coming to the end of the session, Rosberg hit his fastest lap, went 0.4 faster, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, Rosberg's got pole, which was, it's Mercedes, of course he is. Raikkonen's about 0.6 behind. He'll probably improve a little bit, okay. Vettel hasn't been out yet. Vettel will probably beat Raikkonen, okay, Ricciardo will probably get 4th, 5th, whatever, just chilling. Out of nowhere, Ricciardo, 4/10 off Rosberg. It's like, what? Where did this lap come from? It's a golden lap. They said he did a really good first lap, but I didn't think he'd get second. So he puts his car on second. It's like, oh shit, that point for at China being a very high-speed track, even though there is fast corners. Yes, his chassis is good on them, but it does have one of the longest straights. It's a very high-speed track, so it does actually do some serious damage to them in sense of not having the fastest engine. But yeah, he put 0.4 off Rosberg, and Rosberg was going for it in the last 2 sectors. First sector probably not that much because he didn't actually improve, so he was gunning it. So that's showing you that Red Bull have that pace. They do have this pace that are coming out of nowhere, and I will get into that because I really want to talk about that. Then Ferrari, both drivers coming down into, I think it's turn 15, at the end of the long straight, as I'm about to come to now. This little tight corner, both locked up, went wide. kind of like what I just did, except for they didn't collect cars like I did. But they ran wide, and yep, both of them were basically, that's it. They missed their opportunity. They didn't get a chance to get on the front row or anything. So Ricardo got P2, phenomenal. Told you guys Ricardo was having a good weekend. Well, I think I jinxed it in the end. So start comes down. Ricardo gets off the line better on the softer tyres. Yes, he's got a shitter engine, but he's on the super softs, and Rosberg's on the softs. Rosberg got a good start for the soft tyres. I do want to mention that because he did actually retain P2. And that's when shit kicked off. Holy crap. Kvyat went from 6th to 3rd, halfway through turn 1, about here. Basically, that was where that was just caused a whole bunch of mayhem, because Vettel was on the inside of Raikkonen. Raikkonen locked up and went wide. So they were side by side. Kvyat came up on the inside of Vettel, perfectly fine, hugging the right hand side of the track as much as he could. If he was any further over by even a mil, he was on the dirt. You know, he couldn't go any further over, and it completely fine and entitled to be where he was on the start. Vettel, you know, Raikkonen's out the wide. He needs to come in because the track really scoops in, so he's got to come in. He's only going to come to the right. Vettel does not want to give up his position, and I love your guys' opinions on this, but my opinion on this is Vettel didn't want to give up the position and held it. And basically, that's what happened. He damaged Raikkonen's front wing. I think broke it off. Vettel damaged his front wing. Kvyat was fine. The front three, so it was Ricciardo, Rosberg, Kvyat. They were kind of all fine for a while and doing their own thing. So Raikkonen hit his wing, so he was out really wide. Yet again, having to get back on the track, otherwise he's going to cut across and cause a big pile-up. Nazar takes evasive action to avoid the accident. Does hit Raikkonen, unfortunately. So sweeps over to the right as he's trying to, and Hamilton hits him. So Hamilton started last, I think made up a couple of places, went back to last pretty easily. Poor Hamilton. Ricciardo, you know, leading on the super softs. Rosberg going far behind, but Rosberg, you know, second place. Kvyat's falling back because, well, it's Kvyat. And that's when, this is where I'm so pissed off, because the amount of debris that was in turn 1 was absurd, right? Should have been a safety car, straight away. Should have been a safety car. No one DNF'd. This whole race, by the way, no one DNF'd. But it should have been a safety car, purely on the fact that there's that much there that someone was always going to get a puncture. Unfortunately, lap 3, Ricciardo was leading, Rosberg was there. Everyone might say Rosberg was catching, but that's because he had deflating tyre. Ricciardo got a fucking puncture. Luckily down the straight, didn't do too bad. Got a puncture, comes into the pits. As soon as he leaves pits, what happens? Safety car. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Why didn't this happen before? So, well, it was a lap after, so it was lap 5. Should have been earlier. Should have been way earlier. It's absurd that it wasn't. So, it could have avoided Ricciardo's damage. Should have avoided Ricciardo's damage, but unfortunately, no, it didn't. It's just one of those things that, unfortunately, that's how it happens. But the Chinese Grand Prix, they're always slow on doing things. It's even the officials who are there every race, they're always slow on doing things, and it pisses me off. But that's just the way it is. So it was just a scrap between everyone for positions the whole race. But coming into the first pit stop, so everyone pitted under safety car. I commend Vettel for doing what he did. So Hulkenberg was going into pits and going extremely slow, and Carlos Sainz was behind him as they're going. They've done the left-hander, and they're literally just straight into pits. So Sainz kind of just stayed there because I guess he didn't realize he could do this. But Vettel came up, saw an opportunity, and just put his foot down before they got to pit, and actually overtook Sainz and Hulkenberg going into pits. Sainz tried it, but too late and didn't get to be able to. Hulkenberg ended up getting a 5-second stop-go penalty because you're not allowed to do that, which is all fairness, unless you have a mechanical or some problem that would physically stop you from being able to do that. You are not allowed to slow down and block entering the pits. You know, safety, which is completely fine. I think everyone can agree that it is the matter of safety. So Vettel passes two people, just phenomenal. And you think, oh, that's pit stops are usually boring in pit lane. They just come in and leave. Hell no. Bloody Button and Sainz tried to pass in the middle of pit lane, you know, pulling out and trying to pass, but then everyone swerved. How there was no front ring lost, absolutely insane. And pretty much after that, everyone was running different strategies. McLaren tried the medium tyre. They were the first ones to do it. Pretty much it was super softs at the start, and then everyone was riding the softs. But the medium tyre, I guess, worked better than you thought it would. And, well, really, in the end, they couldn't. Everyone kind of used them once. So that was, you know, very interesting strategies. It was one of the. If you love the tyre strategies, holy shit, watch this race. Like, go find wherever you can watch it and watch it. It was absolutely phenomenal because everyone ran a different strategy. I think it was like some people pitted 4 times, some people pitted 6 times. Hamilton. Some people pitted 3 times, some pitted 2. Like, everyone did a different strategy basically. It was just absurd. So basically then, you know, a race continues on. It's pretty much, I wouldn't say boring, but it's kind of that's it for a lot of action. You know, there was a good race between Raikkonen and Hamilton for a while, and that kind of died out. Ricciardo was always making his way up through the field, and yeah. So I'll tell you guys the order of which drivers finished in, and all 22 drivers finished. I'll read all the way down. Nico Rosberg finished in first with about a 38-second gap, you can say, to Sebastian Vettel in second. Sebastian Vettel had a 8-second gap to Danny Kvyat, who finished in third, who pretty much had no problems, which is, I'll get onto that in a minute, but that's amazing he finished in third. Daniel Ricciardo finished in fourth, third time in fourth, basically Mr. Consistent, same as Rosberg, third win in a row. Then Kimi Räikkönen in fifth. Kimi Räikkönen made a hell of a comeback. Felipe Massa in sixth. Lewis Hamilton in seventh, who just could not get past Felipe Massa because that fucking Mercedes can't pass people. And I do want to mention quickly, if Ricciardo hadn't have had this problem, I'm not saying he would have gotten first, but it would have been damn interesting, basically because Rosberg wouldn't have been able to get past when he's behind because he just doesn't have the car to pass. It's not a passing car. The design is very good on these aerodynamics, but once you're behind the car, your aerodynamics don't mean shit. So Lewis Hamilton couldn't get past Massa because of basically his aerodynamics. Verstappen finished 8th and almost passed Lewis Hamilton. One more lap he would have. Sainz 9th, Valtteri Bottas 10th, Sergio Perez 11th, Fernando Alonso and Jenson Button 12th and 13th. They were having a fantastic race to the end. One was on softs, one hanged out and did a hell of a lot of laps on the medium. Kind of unbelievable. Then you go to Esteban Gutierrez, who finally finished the race. He's the only one to DNF in the first 2. Finally finished in it. Nico Hülkenberg in 15th. Shit weekend for him. That's the best way to put it. You know, Marcus Ericsson in 16th. Kevin Magnussen in 17th. Pascal Wehrlein in 18th. Romain Grosjean in 19th with an engine problem or some sort of problem. Felipe Nasr in 20th. Rio Haryanto in 21st. And Julian Palmer in 22nd. I don't know if he had a problem or not. Now, what does this mean for the next few races? Well, next few races, Nico Rosberg is going to be on form. Don't think it's going to last forever, but I think it will. Also, just want to say, I did call that one of those top 3, Raikkonen and Hamilton, or I said Rosberg, Vettel, Raikkonen and Hamilton, one of them's going to have one or two of them are going to have a problem, and Ricardo is going to get third. Turns out it was his teammate, so I wasn't far off. So if I was you, I actually don't know when the next race is, but the Thursday or Wednesday, depending on where you live, before a Grand Prix, be sure to check out my channel because I will have a prediction Grand Prix, and I know my stuff because usually pretty close. Don't always get it right, but I'm damn close. So going into the future, Rosberg has got on form. One thing Mercedes now have to look out for, they were looking out for Ferrari. Everyone knew Ferrari was going to be a threat. Well, they're now looking out for Red Bull because the car that's going to be most improved this season is Red Bull. And the reason why I say that is, whatever engine Renault, the team, are using is not the same engine as what Red Bull's using. Red Bull are designed, they got 3 of the top engine designers, everyone's only mentioning 1, but they did actually sign 2 more, and they're working on that engine, and that engine is just something else. It's unbelievably good. So you can say what you want, but that Red Bull car is different, and then they said, and they still say, they're not going to do any. They're not going to seriously improve until Montreal. Like Montreal was the start of watch out for us. So they're on their comeback, and they have one of the best chassis. I'm actually going to say the best chassis in the field. So I'm telling you, they will definitely win a race this year. I'm saying it. They'll win a race. And I'll make a bet. If they don't, I'll donate $50 to any charity. I'll even show you guys the receipt for it. If they don't win a race this year. So basically, yeah, Red Bull, they're on form. Extremely happy with how things are going. They'll be doing it. Ferrari won't be happy because basically Vettel had a mistake. Vettel actually attacked Kvyat. Not physically, but verbally attacked him in the podium box before they went on the podium, blaming Kvyat the whole time. And Kvyat's just like, buddy, I'm on the inside of a corner. I can't see 2 cars on the outside. You're in the middle. Why didn't you brake? You know, I raced. I did a move to get on a podium. I'm here. Good on Kvyat for taking a stand on himself and not giving in to Vettel. So basically, yeah. So Red Bull are going to improve. Only going to improve. Everyone is, but I think they're going to be the ones that you watch out this year for. They're the dark. I said at the start of the year, I unfortunately didn't have a video out, but I did say before the season started, Red Bull are the dark horse. They are the ones that are going to shine and be a surprise, and they have so far. So Felipe Massa, and Williams are going to be kind of staying the same. I think this is where Williams is going to be. Toro Rosso, 8th and 9th. That's kind of where they're going to be as well. I don't think that they'll improve too much either, purely on the fact that they're running last year's engine for Ferrari. Their engine is as good as it's going to get. Everyone else's is kind of improving. So Mercedes kind of staying where they are. I think Force India, they're going to be, they always do good in the second half of the year. Well, actually, Hulkenberg usually picks up a team. Whatever team he's been at has done really well in the second half of the year. Look at his track record and try and prove me wrong. So they'll kind of be meh until, you know, Spa and onwards, or Silverstone. They usually have a huge upgrade for that. McLaren, they're damn well doing well. They've got some serious upgrades on their way. They'll start doing better. They will get points. Funny though, only point that they have scored, or only points they have scored, wasn't even the 2 drivers that raced this weekend. It was their reserve driver, which is hilarious. I don't remember his name, so that's why I'm not mentioning it. And I apologise for that. The rest of the teams are kind of meh. Haas should fix their problem and move up a little bit, but that's kind of it. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to smash that like button. It really helps me out. Subscribe. Link is down below. That helps me out as well. And I'll see you guys next time.